Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends.
We're ready.
Memory is a funny thing. Our memories define us. You could even say that the sum of your memories are you. So what happens when your memory begins to fade? Do you lose an essence of yourself, or are you no longer even you? Is your ego woven into the fabric of reality, or are we mere constructs of simulation? Garfield forces us to examine what it means to be human in the current year. Garfield is probably my spirit animal, not because of the actual content or character, but due to what he represents. Jim Davis, upon seeing the overwhelming popularity of Peanuts Snoopy, decided he wanted to create a marketable comic strip about a cat. He used his years of advertising experience and created a character based on the epitome of marketable. There's absolutely no love in the character, but that's part of the charm. As an advertising guy, I can learn a lot from Davis's approach to his global IP. Garfield is an asshole. I could expand on all the brilliant Garfield remixes, like Garfield minus Garfield, Square Root of, or Lasagna Cat. But for the sake of this review, I am solely going to focus on the brilliance of last week's story arc. My understanding of Davis's process is that he comes up with a series of ideas and now has a team that actually draws and creates the comic. They are so incredibly lifeless, the strip tends to emulate life. Last week's story arc really captures the banality of life at times. Story arcs in Garfield are few and far between. Most of the time, it's just one-offs. The most famous Garfield storyline is the Halloween arc from 1989. It's spooky and may indicate Garfield is dead. And this week's arc is somewhat similar in its eeriness. Here's the story arc for context. I can't remember why I walked into this room. Maybe if I went out and came back in again. Great, now I can't remember why I walked into this room. Alright, I'm ready to walk into the room again, and this time I know why. Okay, 3 out of 5. You forgot why you walked into this room, didn't you? No, I didn't. I forgot why I got out of bed this morning. I can't remember why I walked into this room. What was that for? I hate to waste a trip. I can't remember why I walked into this room. You must be getting old. And cranky. How does that look for your birthday cake? I have one slight change. Now I know I walked into this room for a reason, because I wrote it down. And that's how you outsmart old age. The arc begins with Garfield forgetting why he walked into a room. His solution is to walk into the room he came from to try and remember. Upon walking into the original room, he says, "Now I can't remember why I walked into this room." There's an obvious contradiction here, as Garfield must have remembered why he walked into the original room, because he remembers not remembering. This is confusing and really sets the tone for the rest of the week. At the conclusion of the comic, we learn that the entire week's storyline is simply a long-running gag aimed at Garfield's birthday. He's getting old. That's the joke. Garfield abuses John, loses his eyesight, smashes a spider, and kills the punchline. Perhaps Jim Davis is coming to terms with his own demise, or maybe he's conflicted and has begun to forget the purpose of the comic. Seeing as how Garfield was only ever created to make money, a character devoid of a true purpose, maybe Davis finally regrets how he spent his time and fears no one will remember him in the future. The last panel of the comic shows Garfield, unable to read his notes, perhaps a reflection upon Davis being unable to read his own comic strip. Memory is a funny thing, and age begets reflection. This week in Garfield is a sorrowful reminder that we all have an expiration point, whether it's physical death or the death of our ego.